Everyone asks me all the time, what is going on with F45? And we know the truth.
Is F45 dead?
I think, personally...
I have some controversial shit to say about this topic.
Oh, fuck.
Are franchises a scam?
So is it true when people say franchises are great, but you'll never have full control over your business? Is that true?
I think...
We work with hundreds of them, right? Independents, franchises, iconic brands that are trying to start, and the ones that are most profitable are the independents.
I disagree because, from personal experience, we had a profitable franchise and we made a lot more profit than a lot of the independent ones at the moment are. It doesn't matter whether you're independent or franchise, you still got to have three things.
What are they?
You've got to have...
What are the pros versus cons of going from franchise to independent, would you recommend? What's the biggest mistake independent gym owners make?
My hot take on that is welcome back to the John Unfiltered podcast and the Hey Dozer segment, the podcast where we're going to talk about the truth, whether gym and business owners like it or not, right? Yep. Welcome back, Soph and Benny.
Hello.
Yo.
How do we feel about this new format? It's a bit spicy.
Great feedback, yeah.
Soph, what's been happening?
So much has been happening. I officially signed up at a new gym and I thought I'd mention it because I've actually been training there since November and I've been in their system since October 2023, I want to say, but I've only just started paying the money. And that is why, you guys, you need better processes. I've been bouncing around the
Writing
free
off
trials.
them. Cheap.
Free
You're
trial
such
warrior.
a Gen Zer.
I was waiting for them to sell me.
And they didn't sell you?
No.
Well, fucking sucked in then.
Exactly.
Something, Benny?
I've been training, but I think I need to get back into that contrast therapy. I did it in Bali.
The hot cold.
Yeah, the hot cold
That was
thing.
fun.
I did it in Bali. I think I got to a minute. Shout out to Soph and Ash. They were in there for like 3, 4, 5 minutes. So look,
We're just going to leave you guys in there.
Yeah.
got a bit of work to do. It's on my to-do list for my separation Sunday for next week.
Doze, what about you? What's your update? What have you been doing?
Everyone asks me all the time, what is going on with F45? Oh my God, they're done. What happened? What happened to F45? There's a few different answers to this.
Yeah.
We know the truth.
Is F45 dead?
Well, I think it's a broader question about franchises. I think, personally, the stuff that happened at HQ in the States had nothing to do with why an F45 down the road didn't pick up the phone and call the leads. We know a lot of great people that still run great F45s and they are just great businesses. They are great studios. They are repping it hard. And it's almost like the best ones have continued to be the best ones. I actually do believe that they made the right strategic decision and needed to almost like prune for the network to go forward. Like we were part of that network. They would sell anyone these fucking...
They sold to us.
Yeah.
For God's sake.
These two buffoons back in 2014.
Yeah, zero experience.
Zero experience, zero fucking have a go at us. Like no one's fitness influencer. But they almost wouldn't exist if it wasn't for F45 paving the way forward, okay? So I do think that they needed to prune in order to advance, and that's what they're doing now. And now they're innovating. They're bringing in the rigs. They've got some great people that still own some great F45s. And no matter what brand that they would have owned, they would have done well because it was the operator, okay? Now, that's what I want to talk about in this episode.
Well, our most successful studios, we work with hundreds of them, right? Independents, franchises, iconic brands that are trying to start.
And then independents that became franchises.
To franchise now, you know, and Pilates, Reformer, all of the concepts, doesn't matter. I look at all of the data, weekly data across multiple years, across hundreds of businesses, and the ones that are most profitable are the independents.
Really?
The ones that are happiest are usually the independents. The ones that are the most coachable, which means they're compliant, are usually the independents.
Hang on, Soph, we've got some franchises that listen to this.
Now, that doesn't mean that they
should
can't
the franchises just go independent? Is that what you're saying?
Hang on, they can't do that. They're in contracts.
Like some of them I've seen do it. So is that the default thing? Should they get
It doesn't matter. The question should be why. It shouldn't be what do I do with that? It should be why.
Okay,
and
why?
The reason is because the least compliant and least profitable / successful studios that I have come across are usually a part of a franchise or they've inherited a business. They've bought the business second hand from whoever came up with it in the first place. And I believe it's because there's so many more people that they feel like they can blame. Do you know what capital B for blame equals capital B for broke?
Broke ass bitch.
Can these people turn their business around? Absolutely. But it's exactly what you just said. It comes down to the person. It does not matter what logo is on the wall. It does not matter how much they pay in franchise fees. It's actually not about that. That's not why they're more profitable or less profitable. It's because they believe in their concept and it's down to them. They started this fucking thing. They believe in it that much. It's their own fault whether it's successful or it's not. And they want it to work because point one. So therefore they are compliant and they look for a way for that to really work and kick off. Whereas There are some other instances where it's like, oh, it's because I inherited this shit team. My team doesn't believe in me. My team doesn't want the change.
HQ this, HQ
The
that.
P&L was fucked when I bought it, or they hid all of these members from me. HQ this, HQ that. And so instead of just being compliant to a plan, they're blaming external factors, because that is how we kind of are wired originally, is like not to look at me because that's kind of scary. And I think that's like extremely interesting.
When you say compliant, as two people that came from a network, when you say compliant, it kind of sounds like we've got the right logo on the wall. Do you mean that compliant?
Yeah, nothing to do with like not having a skier, because trust me, we had those before. We're allowed to.
I don't know how they got there.
I'm talking about the studios that have the same access to the same cheat codes, the same coaching, the same everything in our network, in Geronimo. Why are some more coachable and compliant to the plan we give them and some aren't? It's the same thing as why do some of your members track their calories and their steps when you ask them to and others don't?
But hang on, are you saying the independent owners follow the plan more than the franchise owners? Is that what you're saying?
The independent owners are way more likely, in what I've seen, my experience of them, to spend less time in blame or external factors, and they're more so looking at how they can drive their baby, their business forward.
Because there is no one else to blame.
There's no one else, just themselves staring at themselves in the mirror.
If I, therefore, am listening to this podcast and I'm in my car driving to my studio, which is a franchised studio, do I give up?
No, this should be liberating. This is like, oh, great. So it's actually nothing to do with all of the things that I have created in my head as a bit of a narrative around why this won't work, why they sold me a lie, why I can't change this because I've inherited the team. It's actually just up to you. As we always say, it's not the plane, it's the pilot.
I think you said it before, Soph, the B word, belief. I'll go back to the F45 example. The F45s that closed down, the owners lost the belief in the brand, in the network. They gave up.
A lot of them are pretty shit, dude.
Yeah, the other side of the ledger, the ones who said, you know what, great, there's a bit of a wobble with the NASDAQ. You know what, that doesn't affect my 6 a.m. class. It's irrelevant. Like what's happening over there is irrelevant to like my business, my community, and I just need to get on with it. And like F45 will still send me some good workouts. My members will still get results. They never lost the belief. The belief is the thing that matters most.
Yeah. And honestly, some of those people should never have opened a business. Not everyone should be a business owner.
Oh, right. It's true. I mean, we met a lot of them, right? Just through
Fucking oath.
Yeah.
I've been on the end of hundreds of those conversations where I'm just like, if you don't do something, your business won't be here in 12 months time. And we've never lost a plane. They never leave and get better. They never stop investing in themselves and get better. It's like, I can't make the data up. Independents are more profitable. It's not because franchises are paying franchise fees. It's because of the belief they have in their concept and the actions and what they're willing to do to get there. There's less distraction for the independents because they don't have other people to blame. The only other correlation that is there between people who inherit the business or have a franchise, different than the independent, is the logo on the wall, and there's more people involved in where the business state is in. There's not enough brand reputation because there's more people to blame for the state that the business or the brand reputation is in. So whether it's because they've bought the business or because HQ is not doing enough and they're waiting for someone to come and save them, or they're surrounded environment by people who are not winning as well and they're all complaining about the same thing. It's way easier to buy into that and to look at yourself and then stick to a plan that you know works.
I am going to disagree because, from personal experience, we had a profitable franchise and we made a lot more profit than like a lot of the independent ones at the moment are. And a lot of the independent ones are still, I swear, like owning an independent studio sometimes can be like fucking parenting. Is, you know, the idea of the freedom is great, but sometimes you just want someone to go, do you know what? This is the fucking program. Press play. It's going to stream through overnight and like it'll be there. You don't need to think about that. Just get in there and call the leads, run a fucking great show and don't fuck up. I believe it doesn't matter whether you're independent or franchise, still got to have three things. I call it the 300%. You've got to have 100% energy in this business. I don't care what the fucking logo is. You've got to be 100% all in, big energy in your business. The second thing is you've got to have belief. You've got to have 100% belief in yourself and in whatever the fucking concept is, right? So many times we've met people and they're like, and they're like losing hope in the network. It's like, the network is not the reason why you didn't call your fucking leads or you don't know what a CPL is. That's not HQ's fault. They're your fucking leads. Call them. Nope. And the third thing is you've got to devote 100% of your resources into this, man. It's going to take a bit of money. It's going to take a bit of fucking time, right? And just because you've got mum and dad at HQ, or maybe you are mum and dad and you're an independent, either way, like the best franchise studios and the best independent studios that make a lot of money, it's because they're also the best owners.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's the
like,
person.
It's not because of a franchise or not. And you could literally like pull up the spreadsheet and just go, okay, there's a fee. You can just circle the fee and go, well, that doesn't exist in this studio. But there's a lot of fees that they've got the independence that the franchises don't need to worry about as well. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to come in swinging here.
Please do.
And represent the HQs out there. Now, I have no personal financial alliance to any one of these other networks. Neither of us do, okay? And we were from the F45 network. We were the number 7 studio, 2014, December the 6th, open on a Saturday. What the fuck were we doing? Okay, the whole situation. The difference now that is refreshing is that the HQs of today, at least the ones that we've met, actually give a fuck about their network.
Going back 10 years, it was an absolute land grab. This day and age, you can't scale a network if you're worried about half the shares that you sold who aren't performing.
Yeah.
Like you can only scale a network now through like the social proof of having a successful network.
Yeah. So I want to be on record for saying it's not HQ's job to make sure that you're running a successful business as the franchisee. That's your job. That's your job. HQ's job, I believe, should be to expand the network, to continue to innovate, to do, air cover marketing, to, achieve product market fit, look forward 18 years, 3 years, and like, where's this network going, and provide the opportunity for everyone else. And obviously like deliver a great product down the line. At some point, once those workouts stream through that fucking screen, it's that owner's job at the local level to take responsibility of their business and bring those three things at 100% of the time.
We love all owners. I don't care what concept it is or franchise independent. The best ones to work with who then have the most success, this is the point that we want to get across, is the people who can do that. The less that you look for external factors to then create your business vision and be the reason why you succeed, they're the ones that are going to be more successful if they're going inward and then building a team and just doing their own thing. It's the same reason why you guys, regardless of being a part of F45, you were like, if that logo wasn't on the wall when the members walked in tomorrow, if the TVs were off, if we had to like pack up shop and go somewhere else, would they care? And the answer was absolutely, but it wasn't because of the blue and the red.
No. And don't get me wrong. Hey, remember those times we fucking made our own rogue websites and accidentally had ski eggs in the place and squat racks, and you shout out to Unit 20.
So there was some compliance issues in our studio, you might say. But yeah, for us, it was never about the workouts or the logo. It was about much more than that.
Is it true when people say franchises are great, but you'll never have full control over your business? Is that true?
That's interesting. I'd approach it from another angle. If you abdicate the decision-making and the power to HQ, you will never have a profitable business. You've got to color in the lines.
Yeah.
You can bump up against the edges from time to time as you need. Because look, sometimes when the HQs are up there in their ivory towers, sometimes they don't know what's going on at the ground level. And it is like live feedback from the people in the streets running the studios of what their members are looking for right now. You see what's happening in F45. They've got rigs now. They're doing heavy lifting now. Well, guess what? That happened 2 or 3 years ago. If you're just waiting for HQ to make you rich, you're going to be waiting a long time.
It's not HQ's responsibility.
Yeah.
Go out there and fucking make it happen.
But about the full control thing, I think that's less about HQ coming to save you. It's probably more about the decisions. Like we have a lot of conversations with the HQ are limiting me with this or they're not doing that. And there are a few shining stars, shout out to the ones who know who they are, who will stretch the limits a little bit and be the first.
So they should.
Yeah, They'll be the first and they fucking crush. And they feel so much more excited about their business. And this is the point that I'm trying to get across. It's the ones who take ownership, believe in what they're building, and then fucking do something about it that will fly. It really doesn't matter about anything else aside. You guys have business obligations. You have family obligations, financial obligations that HQ don't touch. So this is your permission slip.
Yeah. You've got to bring your business acumen to the business, to the table, whether you're running a franchise studio or an independent studio or any business, a laundromat, a dog wash. I don't give a fuck what it is, but it's your fucking job as the owner to take responsibility of that business. Bring those three things, right? Every single day, especially when you don't feel like it.
I think that was actually it didn't feel like a superpower at the time, but when we bought our first studio, we came up into it from not a small business background. Dozer was in big corporate marketing and I was in big corporate finance. We had zero experience on how to actually run this bloody thing. So we just went back to what we knew. This is how we can market a business. This is how we can sort of operate some key financial principles. And we brought that into how we operated the business. It was less around waiting for HQ to give us every single answer. We just fell back onto what we knew worked. But yeah, there was plenty we could do within the boundaries of an HQ to find success.
I tell you what is interesting though, what's got nothing to do with the concept. And this is might be shattering for, obviously we're friends with some of these networks, right? And the more progressive ones, but it's kind of not your concept that matters. That's a bit of a realization for a lot of people, but it's also liberating because then that's not what's holding you back. We've got people that are in a network that they think it's the network that's not sexy anymore. It's you had 15 leads last week and you didn't call any of them.
Or Or you did and you didn't follow the script.
Yeah.
Yes, and there's plenty of those. Plenty of those. Okay, so let's just make sure we tick everything off first before we give the power to external factors that you have no control over. Because if you keep fucking doing that, that is a great way to stay miserable.
Yeah, that reminds me of the hero and victim model Ash covers a lot around. Yeah, if you're in victim mode, then you look external for someone to come and rescue you. So agencies, your HQ, God, so I don't know, whatever you believe in. Versus if you become the hero and the victor of your own story, then you look for mentors and people who are ahead of you who have done it before and yourself. Develop your own skills and belief. That's the ones who win.
So we put a poll out to our network and asked them about franchise versus independence. We put out a few listener questions.
We put out a question box and a few of our listeners have come back in regards to franchise versus independent. These are fucking juicy as. So Nina from Gold Coast wants to know, what are the pros versus cons of going from franchise to independent? Would you recommend?
I would need to know Nina genuinely as a person, right? Like not everyone can make that move well. In fact, I think there's another question in that, which is around going from one franchise network to another franchise network. There's a lot of
franchise
white and blue and red studios.
Going black and white.
They're going black and white, yeah. And I guess my hot take on that is like, if you couldn't run a red, blue and white studio.
Going to be a bit harder to run a black and white one with another 200 grand fit out cost on top of it.
Just some of that sort of stuff. Okay, so let's assume Nina backs herself out there. She knows what CPL is and that's all under control. I think it's exciting for people to actually fucking take a swing out there. There must be something very liberating about like that 10 o'clock at night decision about, you know, choosing your logo and working out your own floor plan and equipment, choosing where things go where. I think, you know, when I look at the independents that are part of our network, like the Bexies and the Caleb's, and there's so many great people that are part of our network that are, and you can see like the pride that they have in their brand and what they want to do with it. And they can go hybrid. They can do an online thing. They can launch a podcast.
Yeah.
Just about what they're doing. I just think that's awesome, but not everyone is built that way. Sometimes people just do need the box to play within and just execute that really well. Why shouldn't you just stay and fucking nail her targets? There's a cost to switching.
That's great, but what if Nina is running a great show and she does back herself, but she still wants to switch? Shouldn't she just stay and cash cow the current business instead of adding more cost on top?
That is a good question. Where my head goes to is like, is she at the end of a term lease? Is that where things are at? Does she deeply believe against the concept that she's part of? If it's a, you know, just like the stats are, I don't want to kind of piss anyone off here, but I've already sort of mentioned what the top 5 workouts were, which was like Pilates, yoga, strength training, cycling, which surprises everyone, and then bar. Like if your concept's probably not in the top 5, that might be Nina. That might be where Nina's at. If she is still not absolutely exceeding all her KPIs, but if it's because she just feels a bit shit about her business, the idea of switching to an independent as opposed to just having a tough conversation with your manager, maybe do that bit first. So I don't know if she's trying to avoid something, but honestly, like what we talk to people about is sometimes the best businesses to sell are the best ones to keep. If there's some niggles that's happening with Nina in her business, I'd lean into that, fix those niggles, and just see if you enjoy the current business you're in before the cost of switching to something else.
So another one is Ben from Sydney.
You can answer your own question. You can answer your own question.
He's asked that he is looking at buying an F45 but has heard horror stories. What would your advice on this be?
It comes down to the numbers. Like I'm the numbers guy, I'm the data guy. Like look at the numbers. What story can you see in that business? Okay. And then it comes down to like the terms of the deal, like price and terms, right? If it's a fire sale price, but there's some debt in the business and you've got a shit team and it's going backwards and the lease isn't favorable, then no, walk away. Unfortunately, there are going to be some owners in the F45 network who've done their 7 or 8 years and they're willing to move on. If you're a savvy buyer, you could probably pick up one of these businesses for a reasonably good entry price, as long as you're comfortable with the financials of the deal, okay? Look at the rent deal. Look at the team that you're going to inherit. How are you going to drive that team forward? Nowadays with F45, it's less around the promise of what's possible or the brand momentum. It's what you can do as an owner to generate returns from that business.
Why shouldn't Ben just take over the business without the franchise agreement?
Well, it depends on what his background is. Like if Ben was like a me Ben in 2014, there was no way I would have been in the position to run an independent studio because we needed an HQ to give us the workouts. We needed the HQ to give us the floor plan and tell us where to buy the equipment from. We were busy enough just trying to run the business without having to make all those other extra decisions on top of that. So it depends on what Ben's background is. If he's been in the industry for 10 years and he knows how to design a program, he knows how to get his clients results, he knows what equipment to get and what the trends are and how to keep the business progressing ahead of the market, back yourself, absolutely. Sign a lease and do your own thing. But otherwise, you can take a lot of those big sort of macro decisions away inside the safety of a franchise. There's still plenty of opportunity to run a really good business within that framework.
You know what I'm going to do?
What are you going to do?
I'm going to ask ChatGPT. So I'm asking ChatGPT, should I buy an F45 studio.
What did it say?
Fuck, do you actually want to know?
Yeah, let's go. Unfiltered.
It's still going.
What's the TLDR?
Oh, it's actually a great response.
Okay.
Verdict, yes.
If
you can buy an existing profitable studio at a discount, have strong business skills, and are prepared for the franchise limitations. That's the
answer.
That's the answer. No. If you expect it to be passive, don't like corporate constraints, or if the numbers don't make sense. That's what you said.
There you go.
Buying an F45 studio or any franchise studio can be a great investment if you're going with a clear understanding of the business model, potential risks and opportunities. Let's break it down. And then you do the pros and cons. Anyone can do that. Don't.
Quick fire, no bullshit answers. Okay. Best and worst franchise model right now.
I don't know if they're called franchises, but like when there's a joint ownership, kind of like the Kelly Partners Chick-fil-A model, how it's kind of like 51, 49, 49, 51, ownership equity thing rather than just a 7% off the top every single month. Is that still a franchise?
Who's doing that?
You kind of want to get involved because they're not running the business properly, but you kind of can't because it's not actually your business, right? But when a model like that goes out the window and it's very successful with Kelly Partners, great business, stock exchange, like it's doing great things. And it's because you literally are part owners together, you're partners. And then the owner of those types of businesses can make really good fucking money, but also the guys at the top, like the HQ.
There's full alignment, right?
They're actually looking at your numbers. Yeah.
The worst ones, and I won't name names, but look, when we got onto the franchise network, the barrier of entry was much lower. Like the franchise fees were much lower than they are now. We paid $1,500 a month instead of a percentage. But probably most important for us, in terms of like the fit out cost, it might have been, $100,000. Nowadays, like the concept I don't like, if it's costing you $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 to open the bloody doors,
It's fucking scary.
that's a lot of members. And like I see these guys at 2 points. It's either they're looking at the franchise documents and they're going, oh, it's all right, I only need 300 members to open with 300 members to be profitable, which is a lot harder than it sounds. Or the second thing is I'll be on a sales call with someone, we'll be going through the numbers. And like a couple of years ago, 100, 150 members, you're sort of breaking even, the next 50 members is all profit. We used to call it like the Tesla pop. Those extra 50 members, you go from being like a bit of a brokey to like you can buy a Tesla and life is awesome. Nowadays, on the sales call with someone like, great, look, give us the numbers of the business, where you're at now, or we're at 275. Fuck,
That's pretty good.
You must be crushing it. No, we need 320. Otherwise, like we're underwater. At that point in time, I'm speaking about a boutique studio, not a big box gym. If you need 325 members just to make $1, the model's against you. The franchise models I don't like are the ones that require significant capital investment to start.
Because it's like those trendy, vibey, sexy type things that, need a bit of a high street. And when they were showing us and they were giving us a tour of the bathroom and there's imported sand from the Whitsundays, and I just think, you and I both looked at each other and went, holy fuck, there's a lot of fucking 10 packs you got to sell to pay for that fucking sink.
Yeah.
You got to rent light it every single month just to come home with a little bit of bacon. And I'll tell you what, it's fucking exhausting.
Good quick fire. One more. What's the biggest mistake independent gym owners make?
Not developing their brand enough. And therefore, why do you actually exist? Or are you just another black gym with one letter taken out of it and we're cool? Why do you exist? You look like all the other black gyms with a funny name. Yeah?
Yeah.
Like not investing in their brand, their positioning. Whereabouts do they sit with it in the market and in the minds of the consumers?
Okay.
And how you're different from everyone else down the road. And also personal branding of the owner of that independent gym. Because otherwise you're just going to be another offer that's around the pond, the same pond as everyone else. It's just another ad that swims around the same pond. No, personal brand. Why should I join your place?
All right, let's wrap it up. So if our listeners take one thing away from this episode, what should it be?
Take ownership. I don't care if you're a franchise or if you're an independent. I believe you have equal chances of success as long as you bring 300% every single day. Resources, energy, belief.
And on that, a franchise is not going to save these guys. And likewise, being an independent doesn't mean that you're magically going to become a millionaire. It's always going to come back to the pilot. You are the pilot. You get to steer.
And that's exciting.
Yeah.
That is actually exciting. It's
way,
a much more empowering thought than disempowering and blaming someone else. If you blame, you go broke.
Yeah.
Write that down. If you blame, you go broke.
Either way, you need to know how to run a really successful business. That is your number one competitive advantage. It's going to be knowing that.
By the way, for whatever it's worth, in terms of who's coming into Geronimo, it's about 7-1. Like there's way more independents turning up to Geronimo than franchises. Does that reflect how many there are in the market? Is it 7-1 or is that sensing something else?
It probably reflects a bit of a shift in the market. I think 5 years ago, there was way more franchises.
Right.
It's swinging now to way more independents.
These like independent yoga, Pilates, strength, PT studios, pole dancing studios, I fucking love them. They're so cool.
Yeah.
And they're like great content, great concept, actually like interesting. Wow. I like the idea of it. Mixed modalities. I love all that shit.
For anyone listening, what can they do if they want a little bit more information or help on how they can bring that 300% and do better in their business?
Just send me a message. Head to Hey Dozer on Instagram, hey.dozer on Instagram, hit follow, and then send me a message. We'll audio back and forth. I love meeting these guys, especially if you listen to the pod. I get a lot of messages all week long from listeners, and it really fires me up. I love it. Just reach out to me. And we'll go back and forth.
All right, guys. So next week, tune in because we're going to break down how business owners sabotage their own sales process without even realizing it.
Spicy. All right. Bye. Love you. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. If something resonated with you, then do one of two things. Either leave a review or send this episode to a mate who's in the industry who might need to hear this. But if you want more right now, because your head might be spinning and you're like, all right, what the hell do I do right now? Then in the show notes, you'll find a link to where you can book in for a free 15-minute checkup on your studio, where we get to have a look at how you're going right now and where some of the kind of quick win opportunities are to get you moving faster. I can't wait to be back in your ears next week. And if you're listening to this right now, I want you to know that I love you, I appreciate you, I'm grateful for you, and I'm in your corner. You are on the right track and I believe in you. So keep going, and I'll see you next week.